It was recently announced that Okami, a game beloved by so many people, is finally, after all these years, getting a proper sequel. I thought now would be a good time to go back and look at the original game given this announcement. The first time I ever played this game was on the Wii. Yes, I played this game with motion controls. It actually went pretty smoothly, all things considered, though for some reason I never beat the final boss? I can't explain why. So when Okami HD came out for the Switch many years later, I decided to give it another go, but to actually beat the game this time, getting every sun fragment and stray bead, and yes, I did play with motion controls turned on. It was delightful. They worked perfectly. As we go throughout the game, our main character, Amaterasu, gets various brush powers allowing us control over different elements. Yet something this game does that's unique from others is that you can unlock secret brush techniques, which gives the player some upgrades to brush techniques they've already learned. In some cases, it allows the player to control the weather. Yes, I'm serious. There's one where you can call down a bolt of lightning out of nowhere, create a rainstorm, one that forms a tornado around you, and one where we can create ice shards out of thin air and send them at foes. As I was playing through it again, enjoying the beautiful landscape and messing around with brush techniques, it got me thinking, why can't Amaterasu control the weather from the moment the technique is returned to her? She's the goddess of the sun, sure, but she had mastered all the other brush techniques prior to her death 100 years before the events of the game's story. The brush technique split off from her and became the celestial brush gods after her death. So I would think that, once she regained the brush technique, she'd get all the powers associated with that technique back, but she doesn't. She must often do side quests to get the extra powers, save for creating ice shards, for some reason that's available from the get-go. Why, I'm not entirely sure, honestly. Maybe the developers ran out of time? Maybe Itagami was like, you got all the other brush powers, here, take one more. Wait, sorry, I'm getting sidetracked again. This happens to me a lot. So why does it take her putting in effort to get these techniques? Why were they not given to her when she initially regained her powers? One could theorize that she doesn't regain her powers initially because people don't believe in the gods the way that they once did. This is demonstrated in a few different ways, but the most prominent one is that most villagers can't see Amaterasu's markings. They can only see a white wolf. This doesn't change when Amaterasu initially gains another power. This led to me looking into how Amaterasu unlocks the ability to control the elements, and they all have one thing in common. Amaterasu performs an act of service to gain said power. In some cases, she's donating yen to a spring, showing her gratitude towards the gods that held that power for her for a long time. In others, she's performing gestures of goodwill. For example, if the player buys a marlin rod and heads to an island in North Ryoshima coast, Amaterasu can choose to help a fisherman catch a marlin, a very big fish conveniently only able to be caught with a marlin rod, to prepare at Umi's restaurant. Now, Umi's restaurant has been struggling since they can't catch any fish due to the water dragon running amok. So Amaterasu helps by catching this marlin that would be helpful to the business. But that's not all she does. She also returns to the restaurant and draws the mark of Kazagami, the wind god, to help Umi slice up the large marlin. She went above and beyond to perform a good deed, and then was granted the technique of windstorm, the one which allows her to create a tornado. I can guess what you're thinking. What does performing acts of service have to do with unlocking brush powers? Here's the way I see it. People in the Okami universe don't truly believe in the gods unless they see their power for themselves. In these instances where Amaterasu is directly helping somebody, she's potentially opening their eyes that there may very well be gods that are watching over them. While most people's eyes aren't truly opened until Isun draws a picture of Amaterasu in all her glory in the game's final moments, the people she directly interacts with by helping them with various tasks plants the seed that there could very well be a god that's looking out for them. This seed of belief may very well be the reason she's able to unlock these extra powers. While it's not a full-on belief in the gods, it's something that increases her power since it encourages a person's belief. Okay, great, that's one question answered, but this brings forth another question. Why are some of these secret brush techniques weather-related? Well, here's an interesting story for you. I once did a research paper on this game for a college class, so using the knowledge I learned from doing that work, let me tell you what I discovered. There are aspects of Okami that do and do not match the folklore it's based off of. Okami is considered to be a loose interpretation of Japanese mythology. Emphasis on loose. Amaterasu's powers are one such area. In Japanese mythology, she is the main kami, but she doesn't control the weather. Well, sort of. She could be depicted dealing with storms and the wind, but her main domain is dealing with all sun-related affairs, specifically providing light for the world during the day. Given that all of the conditions that are specifically weather-related are involved in storms, such as lightning, rain, tornadoes, and yes, even ice, it would seem that the game developers may have done this deliberately to show that Amaterasu has more power than just being the goddess of the sun. They may have been trying to allude to us that Amaterasu is more powerful than we are initially led to believe, thus changing the world's view of the goddess as we know her. So that's why she can control the weather. Okay, wait a minute. Is that it? That can't be it. Hang on, there's something I'm missing. Why else would she be able to do this? Hang on. There's a lesson from a meteorology course in here somewhere. Let me think about it. Wait, I got it! On my first day of my first ever meteorology class, that was many years ago at this point. It was a while. My professor told the class that every single weather phenomenon here on Earth could not happen without the sun. We need the heat, radiation, and light the sun gives off to cause the disturbances in the atmosphere that eventually turn into weather. Amaterasu is the goddess of the sun, of course. She's the source of all the weather that could possibly occur in the land, because without her, there would be no weather. Actually, without Amaterasu in the land of Nippon, all life would be unable to flourish. Without the sun, very little, if anything at all, can survive. Given this knowledge, this may be why some of her powers are weather-related. As for weather to happen at all, the sun is absolutely required. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. I will see you all in the next one.